Fallon Taylor.
Little lady with a great challenge in front of her. This is Flo.
BABYFLO. She wins the world championship. And the winner's circle for that cowgirl.
Fallon Taylor will win.
She's riding a new horse, Oliver Champion Flo.
It's one of the babies for BABYFLO.
Low to the flow.
Hush money.
Oh, the hush money.
What's up, Flomies? Welcome to Las Vegas. I'm so excited to be here with you and talk through today's stuff and things because I've gone a little virally on TikTok with giving behind the scenes of the NFR. I don't know why I've never done that before. I've never done that before, probably because I was a contestant, and there's, it's not a good thing to do when you're a contestant to talk about all the behind the scenes, but now I can. When you start thinking about coming to the NFR, if you want to be a person that comes and wants to just experience the NFR and you're seeing all the outfits and the Western influencer drama on the interwebs, just know that that's not a real thing. Like, yes, people are walking by you, they're gorgeous, they put a lot of thought into their outfits. And then there's people like me that spilled coffee on their jeans just before they went out the door and they're wearing an oversized t-shirt and feeling comfy. And we totally endorse that. We will dress up from time to time, but I don't want you to miss out on this experience of coming out here just because you don't have the budget for clothes. Remember, most influencers are getting their clothes sponsored to them. They're not actually in their closet, they're wearing them for that day, or they were given those to do shout outs and videos and things. So just remember, not a ton of people are dressing head to toe with grandma's squash blossom that's worth $1 bajillion. And then if you're crammed into the little seats of the Thomas and Mack, also be comfortable. Nobody's looking at you. Everyone's looking in the arena. If you are that girl in your family, okay, Cody is that girl in the family, do your thing. I love it. I'm here for it because every person that buys a ticket is endorsing rodeo. So I would just like to say, I ride the middle, but I say, be comfortable. If you're full glam, I'm proud of you. You look amazing. If you're wearing sweatpants, I feel you. And I know why you're doing that. Okay. Big, huge accomplishment for us and my family is that Ranch Dressin is in the arena and I'm not entered. So the biggest thing is Ranch Dressin got to sponsor the Flag Girls, and this was huge for us. So watching them run in the arena, we were actually at Tournament of Kings. I say it's for the kids, but it's 100% for us. Like, we love going to Tournament of Kings in Vegas at Excalibur. And we were watching the live stream at the same time because the show started around that same time. And watching Wildflower performance shirts come running in the arena was like a full circle moment for me. And I just started bawling and just looked at Jesse like, you designed that, they're wearing it, it's in the arena, I'm freaking out. And so I just want to thank everyone that made that possible. I'm so proud of us. And it was really cool. So check out the Flag Girls rockin' Ranch Dressin'.
Teton Ridge, devoted to preserving the iconic Western way of life and celebrating the passion and excellence of Western sports globally. Teton Ridge proudly partners with the NFR.
Ram trucks have been with us for over 30 years. And
WPRA started in 1948, the oldest women's sports association in the country and the only one governed entirely by women. Visit WPRA.com. Ladies and gentlemen, join us to say thank you. Put your hands together for the colors and the sponsors of the Wrangler.
Okay, now to the other biggest moment. For those of you guys that have followed me for 10 plus years, and I say us because it's a whole village of us doing this and making this happen. Like, Cody is crisscross applesauce behind the camera right now on top of an ottoman. Okay, so there's a whole village of people, of things that you don't see. But this next thing is so cool. Not only do we have 2 booths in Vegas this year, so it's our 10th year in Vegas, we have Ranch Dressin' downstairs at the convention center and Tactical, our equine company, upstairs. I designed the saddles and I'm really proud of them. And we have all sorts of different saddles. I think the last time I checked our biggest order, we had 50 saddles in house and I was so excited about that. Now we can do everything fully custom, all the stuff and things. That to say, we are one of the saddle sponsors for the top 15 at the NFR, and they don't tell you who is going to get your saddle. And so we were invited to the WPRA Star Luncheon, and we're sitting there, and I've got Brand, and Alex is next to me, and then all of a sudden they announced that Haley Kinsel got our Fame saddle. I had to take a moment, super surreal, just to see our tack company go from on a piece of paper to now it's in the hands of Haley Kinsel. It's just so cool. I got to visit with her after. Little known fact, once you draw saddles at the NFR in the banquet, you can trade amongst each other. You have to leave the banquet with the saddle that you have, or you have to leave the WPRA booth with the saddle that you drew. But then you can trade amongst each other. And I asked her, I was like, are you going to trade it? Are you going to keep it? What are you going to do? And she was like, this is going in the barn. It's going in the rotation. And I was like, I'm so excited for that. So very, very excited that she got our saddle. It's so nice of her. Whether she rides it or not, it doesn't matter to us. It's just really, really exciting. She's such a nice girl. So here is a picture of Haley and the saddle. So I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes on, you know, kind of what's going on at the NFR, or just factoids that you may not know about the NFR. And it's been really funny to see the feedback on TikTok, just because I've been doing a little series over there. So I thought I'd bring it here so that we could chit chat and everybody's like burning questions about the NFR, how it works, all the stuff and things. So we'll just get this one out of the way. You get to the NFR by being one of the top 15 money earners in the world. So let's take all of that. It carries over to the NFR. How you get there is like a whole bunch of rodeos, a lot of steps, but you got to be one of the top 15 money earners. Okay, I'm going to try to go through how this works. So basically, once you get to the NFR, say you're in the lead by 100,000, say you're in the lead by 150,000. This has happened. You are not guaranteed the world championship. Because each go-round pays $29,000, you can leapfrog all the way to the top. Now, why don't they clear the slate of the NFR? Like, why don't they clear it to zero and then start over at the NFR? Well, it's a unique arena, one. And, you know, if you have a good small pin horse, you're just going to win the world every single time. Two, it would give you no reason to go to all the rodeos. If you knew you just had to get into 15th, there'd be a battle to the bottom of people not hauling a lot. You wouldn't get a lot of miles. I would like it more that way, just so that our horses would get less runs. But basically what happens is if the girls that have a lot of money won keep hauling all year, the people at the bottom kind of have to keep hauling because it keeps pushing the bubble up. So that's how that works getting into the NFR. It normally takes about $80,000 to qualify to the NFR in earnings. Each rodeo, you can kind of average, if you're doing really well, about $1,000 of winnings per rodeo to go to 80 rodeos, etc. That's why you want to get into the big rodeos so that you can knock out 10 and 20,000 at a time, or be like Cassie Mowry that went to 26 rodeos, won 50 grand at Calgary. Also, not all of that money counts toward the NFR. I believe that half of that 50,000 counts toward the world standings. The rules change every year, so it just kind of depends on the year. And sometimes rodeos like Calgary and Houston don't count for the guys' events, but do count for the girls' events. All depends on the year, what is negotiated in that contract for the WPRA and PRCA. So when you get to the NFR, you need to do well, but you could come in 15th and push your way all the way to the top if your horse does really well at the NFR. Now, the biggest factor of what's going to determine the world champion is how you do in the average, because first in the average pays $70,000. That's what some people made all year long hauling around. So you could go not win one check in the go rounds, however, keep all the way clean to the 10th round and then win $70,000 to leapfrog way up in the standings at the National Finals Rodeo. So if you see someone that's not doing super, but they actually get that average check, it's still money in the bank and it's going to jump them way up. Most contestants are trying to break even. So the top 15 that you see in the world, even the sponsored ones, they are trying to break even. Think about it really quickly. If you see somebody that's won $150,000 for the year, let's just assume that their horse was $0. Let's look at the price of a truck. You can't go all year in an older truck. I've tried it. It breaks down. You have a lot of trouble. So let's say you buy a new-ish truck for around 40 or 50K. Those horse trailers that they're staying in are minimally 80K. That's 120,000 right there if you went the bare minimum. And then you got to think about entry fees. Let's just call those 10 or 15,000 for the year. Now you're at $135,000. So if you win $135,000, that has you at zero. Now let's say you're sponsored. That still may not make you a whole lot of money. Once you get to the National Finals Rodeo, you are handed a check for qualifying. However, you need to buy your tickets for your family, friends, and anybody else that wants to come. You don't have to buy your tickets, but most people do buy their tickets. Now you can sell them to your family members to make a little bit of that money back, or you can sell them to the public if you want to, if nobody goes all 10 nights. But those are very pricey and kind of makes that bonus check that you get for qualifying if you buy all your tickets, makes you start out with $0 in your pocket when you leave home. You can turn out of the National Finals Rodeo. I know of one barrel racer that did it a long time ago to go to the Oklahoma City Futurity. She had a great Futurity horse and she thought she could win more money at the Oklahoma City Futurity than she could at the National Finals Rodeo. So more on turning out. If you turn out of one round, you have to turn out of two. I know that doesn't make sense, but if you turn out of, like, let's say you turn out of round 5 for whatever reason, you have to turn out of round 5 and 6 with a doctor's release. You're not allowed to come right back the next day and just like take a day off. So it makes you think really long and hard about taking a day off. It's mandatory to ride in the grand entry unless you are a bareback rider this year. Now, when I qualified, my last qualification was 15 or 16? 15. In 2015, the bareback riders still rode in the grand entry. They had their neck rolls on and everything. So you can go check out those videos. But now the bareback riders can opt to not do that. There are many fines that you can incur at the National Finals Rodeo, like a lot. Like I've gotten one for rolling up my sleeves. You can have a sticker on your hat that can get you a fine, whole lot of things. Now, the irony in this is that I posted all of these on my TikTok and people were like, you can't get fined with that. You can't get fined for that. And then now they're seeing this in real time of people of what I said actually coming true. So your girl looks like a genius. One thing that Texas does every year, and you're going to see it on round 10, is that Texas takes 2 laps in the grand entry. It's a tradition. We've done it forever. And the person carrying the Texas flag typically like whoops the flag around like crazy. And Texas takes 2 laps. Well, every single person that takes those 2 laps is going to get a fine for delay in TV production. Typically, the guy carrying the Texas flag will help cover your fines, but that's how that works. So I know I've paid those fines plenty of times. Now, you can also get a fine for not ready when called. That is if you take more than 2 minutes to get in the arena. I have been fined for this fine. I had a horse that had a lot of alley issues back in the 90s. And finally, I got that fine so many times that they disqualified my horse. So I was not allowed to ride her. It just took me a little bit longer to get in, and I got that fine. So I had to ride a 5-year-old horse that had been to a lot of rodeos, but had not actually run in the rodeos. He was my pony horse. So back before people brought minis for all their horses, I had True identity. True is now 33 years old. That was my pony horse for Flowers and Money. And he led me in at all the rodeos, but he hadn't run at any. So the NFR was low-key his first rodeo. He did win second in the average, and he placed me in a couple of rounds. So I'm really, really proud that True was around, because FloJo just did not love that arena. Now, I will tell you a factoid that we learned this week and made me super emotional. I've shared it on my Facebook. Really, really emotional, but FloJo, Flowers and Money, was the first NFR mare to produce a world champion, BABYFLO. And now, how cool would it be if BABYFLO is the first daughter of an NFR mare to produce a world champion? Like, how cool would that be? And just keep the dynasty going. So it's on my goal sheet for sure. I'm wearing a Hush Money shirt, so maybe Hush Money will get the vibe that, like, this is where we're headed. Entry fees are covered by the hotel that sponsors the barrel race. So there is a host hotel for every single event. We're super grateful for those hotels, because you're not allowed to stay in your living quarters trailer on the grounds. No one is. Major no-no. You're allowed to bring your your living quarters trailer, but you're not allowed to stay in it. So, and the trailers are smashed onto this little, like, baseball field that's at UNLV, and alongside with all the rough stock and all the things and stuff and the warm up, it's cramped. So people try to bring a lot smaller trailer. That being said, they stay in the host hotel. So every event has a sponsored hotel. That hotel pays your entry fees. I don't remember what the entry fees are, but you can stay at your host hotel. And then you do an autograph signing at that hotel with all top 15 girls as a thank you to the hotel for the sponsorship, and a thank you to the fans, where they can get your autograph all in one place instead of going all over town to try to track you down for an autograph. Although I don't recommend going to that autograph session, because the line is like 2 hours long, but I digress. You can run any horse you want to, any breed, doesn't have to be registered. You could run, I'm pretty sure you could run a zebra if you wanted to. You could run a pony if you wanted to. But what you do have to do is most of the time, the announcers really like to have that on the broadcast where it says what horse you're on. They like to have that down at the bottom. So you typically have a group text going around of what everyone's horse is going to be for that night. But other than that, if you don't get around to telling the announcers, it doesn't matter. You can run whatever horse you want to. You're allowed to bring as many backups as you want. You could run 10 head of horses 10 nights in a row if you wanted to. But stalls are a little tricky. Vegas doesn't have a ton of places with stalls, especially because there's like 4 different barrel races going on here at the same time. So getting stalls is a little tricky. You get 1 stall in the tents as a contestant, and then you can negotiate amongst yourselves. If somebody is staying off grounds and they don't want their stall, you can swap out with them for that stall if you can find some people that will allow you that stall. So typically barrel racers bring their own grand entry horse. Most of the time that grand entry horse is not going to run barrels. I brought Nefertiti as my grand entry horse, and she also ran barrels. So that was really cool. I rode her in the grand entry and ran her in the arena, which was really exciting. So super fun for me. Also that's the horse that people said I ran under a different name that I was going to sell, and I didn't do that. So you can't/shouldn't ride your own horse in the victory lap because you just made a run and you don't want your horse going, like, if you go to the right barrel first, you have to go in for the victory lap and go left. And so people typically opt to not ride their horse, and they really discourage you from riding your own horse in the victory lap. 2020 Dallas was an exception where Haley accepted the 10th go round on Sister, and that was a really special thing. But 2020 was just altogether different. It was in Dallas and masks and the whole thing. Anyway, but the victory lap horses and the grand entry horses, they're dangerous. They're hardcore dangerous. If you don't believe me, there is a lot of footage of NFR contestants being bucked off or run off with on the victory lap horses. So just know when they're riding in those white spray painted saddles that they're taking their life into their own hands. Okay, so you get a 68-page welcome packet when you get to the NFR as a contestant. This, however, is the WPRA rule book, which you can go through digitally, online. Any rodeo that you go to has a different set of ground rules per the committee that you go to. So if you go to, let's say, the NFR, there is a different set of ground rules that the PRCA or Las Vegas events will have in place that supersede anything that you can read in the rule book. So one rule that we have is called a best effort rule. Now the best effort rule is in our rule book, and it says it's like $100 fine, or maybe it's $250. When you're at the NFR, that fine is much larger, and you have a best effort rule. Now there's 2 reasons that you will see people not pull up after their horses fall down. And you see horses fall down because the ground is ground at the NFR. But when you see that happen, you see barrel racers not pull up. It's because they're trying to avoid that best effort rule fine. So that's really tricky. It's super unpopular. I know not a lot of people like it, but there's another reason you may see them not pull up, and that's because of the average. So typically, if you can stay kind of in the hunt for the average, you can win a whole lot of money, which determines a world champion. So if your horse takes a big stumble, you might go on. You may not push them as hard, but you may go on if you feel like your horse can do that. But if you feel like something happened and you need to pull your horse up, that's something that's simply not allowed at the National Finals Rodeo, and can end up in a serious fine. I haven't seen it, but I think they are within their rights based on their rules to disqualify a rider if they continue to violate that. So if you're at a barrel race and you typically hit a barrel and then pull your horse up, if you did that at the National Finals Rodeo, OMG, that would be a big, big, big no-no. So you can have helper in the alley on the ground, but you cannot have anybody on horseback. I've seen that rule violated before, and that was not pretty. But you can have somebody on the ground to help you. That's why you see people holding the competitor's jacket, petting their horse, making sure they don't hit their hip on that kind of sideways gate as you go into the alleyway. There's also a gate that can be swung and shut in between each competitor. You'll see as you have like that look in the alley, you'll see a gate behind each competitor. That gate is to assist any horses in the back that are getting a little rowdy, to give this competitor and her horse a moment to isolate and get their mind right to go make their run. I have been a competitor that has had the horse behind me try to jump over that gate or do something really crazy into that gate, to the point where the gate guy actually now has a box that he stands behind because he was injured in the process. So it's a little tricky back there. After your run, if you are a round winner and you ride that crazy victory lap horse, it is mandatory to go down and do several interviews in the media room and in the fan zone. If for any reason you are late getting to the fan zone, you have a handler, by the way, making sure you get to every single place as quickly as you possibly can. Should you be late to any one of those said appearances, you will be fined. I have gotten over $4,000 in fines, as well as a fellow competitor that you guys know and love. We both got the same fine, and we were able to negotiate our way out of it because our handler simply did not take us to the places. But there's a whole lot of fines. But the craziest fine I ever got was rolling my sleeves up one notch just to like get a little bit more room. But now we make performance rodeo shirts that are stretchy, so your girl doesn't have to do that anymore. But that was probably one of the weirdest fines that I've ever gotten. Your fines do go to a charity, but don't stop here. The charity happens to be the PRCA. It's a 501c6. You guys can give it a Google and check it out. But that is where the fines go. Now, let's say you just simply do not pay your fines. You can not compete. So you have to be a member in good standing to continue competing. So not paying your fines is not going to get you anywhere. You will always have that balance on your books, and you will not be a member in good standing. So you can't go to any more PRCA or WPRA sanctioned rodeos until you pay the piper. The 10th round back in the day used to be in the middle of the day on a Sunday, so we could go home. So a lot of those retro videos, you'll see daylight in the background, but now we actually have it on, I believe, Saturday night. So then all the competitors go home the next day and kind of break down and do all that stuff. There's no after party for the world champions, really. There's South Point, where you go and get your buckle. I believe that South Point has the party for the average winner. The reason I'm not sure is because I've never won the average. I've won second twice. I won the world championship, but you didn't go to South Point after that, the average winner, because the NFR is a rodeo. So because of that, the average champion is the winner of the NFR, but not necessarily the world champion for the whole year. I know that's a little confusing. It confused me because when I ran the 10th round, I don't have any social media on my phone when we come to Vegas for the NFR if I'm a competitor. So I didn't really know the numbers. I just knew I was doing well. But Poppy knew in his mind, if I outplaced Lisa Lockhart, then I would be the world champion. I did outplace Lisa Lockhart, but he didn't tell me that information. So I didn't know. And I look at Poppy and I said, okay, what does that do? And he goes, you're the world champion. You're the world champion. I start crying. We hug. They bring me down, but they put Lisa Lockhart on the victory lap horse. And I was like, what is happening? I've never done super great at the NFR before then. So I didn't understand protocol. She goes in and takes the victory lap, and I was like, they're taking me down for interviews, and this is so embarrassing because I just won second. That wasn't it at all. I threw up. I was so nervous. I was like just beside myself, and I didn't know the procedure from here. I'm not Trevor Brazil. I haven't won this 27 times, so have no idea how this worked. Lisa took the victory lap. She got presented a buckle and a saddle for the average, and then I'm just in a hallway by myself like, what's happening? When I did the interview, they were like, how does it feel to be the world champion? I was like, I don't know, you tell me. It was really awkward. And then they presented the buckle on the floor of the arena to all the world champions for that night. I thought after that would be some elaborate thing because I watched 8 seconds just like everybody else did. I thought we were going to all dress up in gowns. I even sent someone to buy shoes and a different dress for me so I would have an after party outfit. I wonder where that is. Anyway, I thought that I was going to go to this like red carpet event to do this after party, but it was, how does it feel to be a world champion? I said, thank you. I'm so excited. I can't wait for this after party. I'll see you guys later. Unbeknownst to me, there was no later. I did press. We got in the truck. We drove home. There was no party like 8 seconds. I guess that was a thing back in the day. No longer a thing. I was so bummed. I thought there was going to be a parade through Collinsville for me. There was no parade. And the year just started over. But my friends made me feel really special, and we've celebrated that all the time, and I'm so excited that I was able to experience it. But just so you know, the season for rodeo starts October 1st, but it ended September 30th, but it doesn't really end until December 10th this year. So it just pauses from September 30th to December 10th. So while you're at the NFR, you actually have to enter rodeos. So rodeos like Denver and various other rodeos that happen in January, you have to enter while you're here. So in between all of your mandatory meetings and all of your mandatory signings and sponsorship duties, you have to remember to call in and enter some rodeos. So I hope you guys loved all these factoids and crazy stuff about the NFR. I loved sharing this with you because I have a lot of information in my dome that it feels good to get out and just out of my mouth and out of my brain for a minute. I hope you guys love this. I would love to be back here running someday. So I'm excited to just get this little refresher and kind of walk down memory lane with you. You guys, make sure that you're subscribed so we can give you all the tea in the next vlog, and you can watch us run at some rodeos as the rodeo season is going to kick off and the jackpot season as soon as we get home. Please subscribe, ding that notification bell, and as always, don't forget to count your blessings, drink your protein, and say thank you to Jesus. See you next time.